Good morning, everyone. We are working on our garden project at the bottom of our property today. It is an extended garden area that we created because we needed more room for things like cabbage and pumpkins and watermelon, things that take up too much space in a vertical planter, as well as a garden bed. So we've already prepped that, and you might have watched the video on how we prepared the bed down there by the garage. Today what I'm gonna do is remove the items from the vertical planter that we have here and remove the items from the raised beds and the garden shed, the seedlings that we started there, and we're gonna plant them all down at the, let me show you. Plant them down here. So you're gonna go all the way around and down there to the bottom bed, and it's actually tucked behind the shop there. And I'll show you when we get down there, but let's take a look at what we're gonna take out of this vertical planter. So if you have a vertical planter, green stock or otherwise, you can leave these in here and they have additional support. Now we get really bad winds, so do you see how this one is kind of growing that way and this one's growing that way? Well, partly that's because of the container it's in, partly that's because the wind really blows these, and so it's hard to get them. Look, the wind is blowing right now. It's hard to get them in a place where they're not gonna get all wind blown. Now on the ground, they're gonna have a better time because they're gonna lay out flat. So we're gonna take all the cabbage out real quick. See those cabbage? And then I'm gonna go ahead and take these eggplants out. I'm gonna put those actually in the raised beds. I'm gonna take this green bean out, go in the raised beds. These onions are doing great though. Look at that. It's bulbing up like you want it to. I'm gonna, as we remove things today, I'm gonna add more soil to these. So onions will stay, herbs will stay. We're just gonna remove things that are very large that I have now more room to put them in. The mint, that's gonna stay, chive's gonna stay. And then down here in the garden beds, so right there and then over here are pumpkins and watermelons. That's a pumpkin as well. And we put them there until we got that bed ready. So as you may recall, we used our vertical stacker until our beds, our raised garden beds were ready. And now we've used our raised beds until our additional garden area was ready. So it's okay to do that so that your plants are getting a healthy start, but you're still preparing your areas. And so, like I said, we're gonna take things out, move them down there. The seedlings are in the shed that we started earlier, a month or two ago, and they can go down there too. So with that, let's get started. We're gonna start here at the green stock planter, work our way to the garden beds, then the shed, and then back down to the full-time area that they'll be in. It's really hot today and mildly windy, so hopefully this video turns out okay, but we'll go ahead and get started. Wow, okay, so some of these plants rooted in immensely. The great thing about planting, replanting, and planting again is that as things grow, you get to make different choices. So something that you might not have liked in this planter at the beginning, you can always move out. Now check this out. I filled it in, sorry. I believe it was this side. One of the eggplants had rooted the whole cell all the way down. So when I pulled it out, the whole cell of dirt, this one, came with it. So I'll show you when we get down to the garden beds. The eggplant is gonna go in the garden beds. The cabbage, all this cabbage, is gonna go down at the bottom garden. I gotta find something to call it. Maybe we'll call it the shop garden. So anyway, let's take these over to the raised beds and see what we can do down there. So we're down by the raised beds, and this is our plant haul from the vertical stacker. So some of these like this will go down there today. This one's a pumpkin. This is a little pumpkin right here growing. We've got zucchini that needs to go down there, another pumpkin. We could probably even plant those strawberries down there. Lots of things. So to start, let's just separate our plants here. As we add the plants back into any other space, this is a great opportunity for us to add fertilizer. Garden tone is good for all plants, so you can add back a little garden tone. The ones I'm gonna put on these two, these just come from our nursery. They put your plants on here so it doesn't get dirt in your car. But let's just put the things that we're gonna take down to the shop garden here. But let's give them a little bit of space. This is the eggplant that took up the entire cell. Do you see how it's the shape of a cell? Very proud of this plant. It did a great job. It hasn't set any fruits. And you know, eggplant, like all things that have flowers, need to be pollinated, cross-pollinated. And so it's important that we put it in an area that has flowers. And the patio, the back patio does have flowers, but maybe we weren't getting as many pollinators up there. So green beans, 2 eggplants going in the garden. Things coming out of the garden, raised bed garden, is gonna be pumpkins, squash, and I think that's it, just the pumpkins and squash. So, oh, and sorry, the cabbage is going down there. So we're gonna get started with that. What's in the shed is gonna be pumpkins, watermelons. We've got black-eyed Susan flowers, and we got zinnias that I'm gonna go ahead and plant down there, because again, we need pollinators to pollinate these flowers, cross-pollinate the flowers, so that we get plants from them. So that's this. Let's move on to the next step. Go ahead and take out this pumpkin. It is taking up a decent amount of real estate right here that we could be using. Oh, and there's a watermelon we're gonna take out of there. Our onions didn't really survive. We got 2, 3. We'll leave those there, but let's use this bed for the extra eggplants, because that bed is full of broccoli and cabbage, not broccoli, broccoli and cauliflower and eggplant. So let's put our eggplants here, and then we need to put our green beans somewhere, and I think we can squeeze them in over by this cucumber. So let's do that. This is the kind of pumpkins they are. Darling pumpkins. And it says zone, not hardy, meaning it doesn't, these won't survive in the cold. Full sun, harvest in 90 days. Watermelon while we're at it. This one is a sugar baby. Good thing we planted this, because some of our sugar babies didn't come up from seed. And this is also full sun. Plant in hills 8x8, harvest in 85 days. There's that cucumber in its glory. Look at that. It's longer than my hand. And let's put the green beans fairly close. We don't have a gigantic root ball, so not a big hole is fine. I think this is a pumpkin. This volunteered in one of our other beds. I have no clue what it is, so we're gonna call it a pumpkin for now, although squash and pumpkin are really hard to tell apart sometimes. And I think we should just go ahead and take this strawberry as well. So let's take these two next and plant some flowers or something in this one. And this little pumpkin has been transplanted to this spot, and now we'll go to another spot. This will add nutrients for whatever comes in here next. So that's a wrap for what we're taking out of the garden up here. Just for noting for later, we'll have a separate video where we plant our overwintered pepper. This was the one that Joe spliced and put together. So we'll do this later, but that is here from the patio. So we have new real estate here on the end, over here, and some over there from moving some of the bigger plants to bigger growing areas. Okay, so this is the, let me swirl around. Here's all the plants we moved down to start. Here's our bucket of pins. We're gonna pin down the water here. These are drip lines. We created an irrigation system, or well, it runs off our irrigation system. There's a main line here. The pipes around each of them is just to cover the connection. The idea with this is to have a place that things that need a lot of room can grow. So super easy. Here's the vineyard by our house. We don't own the land from that post over. Our friend Bob does. We own everything this way forward. This is the shop, so we'll call this the shop garden. So what we're gonna do first is I'm gonna just do a quick video on pinning down all of the water lines. We're gonna pin them in place so that they don't move. And there is, I believe it's 12 to 18 inches. So every 12 to 18 inches, there's an emitter. So of course, that's where we're gonna put our plants. So I'll show you how to plant it once we get those staked out, but let's just stake down the water lines at this point and go from there.